The conference on Italia 7 has been scheduled for 6 months. Starfleet is relying on your mediation efforts
Counselor, this is not simply a case of me taking the Enterprise and its crew on some wild goose chase to purge myself of guilt and remorse. I will not let Galen's death be in vain. Now, if that means inconveniencing a few squabbling delegates for a few days, then so be it. I will take the full responsibility.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are veteran Trekkies, and Dory is a rookie Trekkie, and we are taking her on our first journey through Star Trek: The Next Generation. Before we start, I just want to say I apologize if you can hear my air conditioning. It gets too hot in my apartment to turn it off, so I am sorry, but just gonna have to deal with it.
I'm not sorry.
So, today's episode that we're discussing is called The Chase, and the original air date is April 24th, 1993, and as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay, this is a long one. Hold on to your butts. Okay. The Enterprise is in the midst of the Volterra Nebula, a stellar nursery. Okay. It's a 3-week mission that is a routine analysis of several dozen protostars in various stages of development. And Riker asks to see Picard in the observation lounge, and Picard walks into a dark room, and my first thought was like, this better not be a surprise party. Because, like, I don't know Picard, but, like, that would be my worst nightmare, and I feel like Picard would not like a surprise party. And then we see, like, Picard goes into the room and there's something on the table. And then in the background, you just see Riker and some guy hanging out in the dark. And, like, this statue on the table is, like, a spotlight. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Surprise, the rando with Riker is Professor Galen. I did right. I was right that there was a surprise for Picard, but
it wasn't. It's not exactly a party, but you were right. It was a surprise.
Yeah, and it did cause emotional damage, as a surprise party would do.
Yeah.
Okay, so this mini statue thing is called a Kurlan Niskos?
Neskar.
Something like
no,
that. Oh, wow.
I
think I maybe spelled it wrong.
Okay, so here's the thing. The way it's pronounced, seems to be pronounced, is definitely not the way that it's said in the episode. So
yeah, I think they say it a couple different ways.
They do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kurlan Neskos, Kurlan Neskar.
Okay. Yeah. And I do note it. Well, I mean, everyone basically notices that the professor has a hard time calling Picard captain, which honestly drove me crazy. And so we learned that
he's fairly arrogant.
I do not like him.
And
I did not like him.
He doesn't seem to have any respect for Picard's achievements and discoveries as a captain. I'm not really sure why specifically he is seeking out Picard, especially if they haven't talked to each other in like 30 years.
Yeah, there's a lot in here to unpack, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this is his archaeology professor from 30 fucking years ago. So Picard, though he's having a great time assessing this item, he's like, oh, it's the 5th dynasty. And he's like, no, wait, it's the 3rd dynasty from the workshop of Tarkin Hill. Okay.
I just love how excited Picard looks while he's
so pumped.
Looking at this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's having a great time. He's having the opposite of a surprise party. Okay, so it's basically, this is how I described this. It's basically like if a Russian doll, the Russian nesting dolls were like combined with like a box of popcorn you get at the movie theater.
Yeah, it's
There's like a bunch of little ones inside the one big one, but they're like side by side. They're not really like, it's just one layer.
Yeah, it's like if you opened up a chess set and all the pieces were like in like a statue thing.
Yeah, you know what? That is a much better picture versus Russian nesting dolls like popcorn.
No, but I understand what you mean though. Yeah.
Okay, so then like the professor is like, oh, it's yours now. And he's going to be picked up by Vulcans in 2 days. And he's currently on an expedition, a journey into the unexplored and historical territory. And he intends to take Picard with him. But the way he says it sounds like a threat. I'm like,
Yeah.
I literally wrote, is Picard going to be kidnapped this episode? I feel like hasn't he been through enough? So yeah, it's been 30 years since he saw the professor, and Picard's like, oh, the professor being there reminded him of when he considered a very different career. And so here's my little tiny, you know what, maybe I should put a pin in this and come back to this later, because I do have not a qualm, but a point here. You know what, we'll put a pin. I'll come back to this later. I'm going to make a note to come back. And by note, I mean literally drawing a big X on my in my notebook.
Perfect.
Beside my note. Okay.
Do your margins have room for it?
Oh yeah. This time I did not try to save paper.
Nice.
Okay. So the professor doesn't. Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck did I write? The professor doesn't do speeches. Yeah. Okay, I remember what he's saying there. So like basically in the past like decade, the professor like hasn't really, he doesn't do speeches anymore. If he like has like supposed to be at a place for something, he like cancels last minute, and so he's like, oh, you're so mysterious. Like, no, bitch, that's not mysterious.
You're just an
honestly,
asshole.
Yeah, exactly. That would make me
Like-
fucking crazy.
Like, if you listen, if you don't want to do speeches and talks and whatever, that's perfectly fine. But don't say you're gonna do it and then cancel last minute. Like,
Yeah,
just don't
it's
fucking
just-
do it.
Yeah, it's not mysterious or cool. You're just an asshole.
Yeah.
And so then Picard's in like, so what have you actually been doing the last decade if you're not like, actually like, telling anyone.
Yeah.
And so the professor's like, are you familiar with micropaleontology? And I wrote tiny dinosaurs. I realize that's wrong now. Because they do explain it immediately.
They sure do.
But I just was like, oh, tiny dinosaurs. I didn't know that was a field of study. It's the study of fossil records at microscopic level. Makes a lot more sense. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then we see, I had to note this, directed by Jonathan Frakes. Good for you, girl.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
very proud.
Nice.
Okay, so the professor made a discovery that is, in his words, so profound in its implications that silence seemed to be the wisest course. But at this point, it's consuming his life, so, but it's going to be huge when it comes out. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, spill girl, you can't tell us this and leave us hanging, like, come on. The professor, though, will only tell Picard if he goes with him on the final leg of this journey. And I wrote, am I going to get mad at this episode? Weirdly, I did not. Mm-hmm. I laughed so hard at one point, I was like crying. And I don't think that was the intention of no, I know that was not the intention of this episode. Okay. So, yes, I'm not on board with this ultimatum. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, how long would he be gone for? And then the professor's like, 3 months, a year, whatever. I'm like, that's not, like, fuck off, man. So,
like, that's a big ask.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, is he, like, here just to take advantage of Picard's position? Because then he was like, oh, if I had complete diplomatic access in a starship, it would be, like, instead of the 3 months to a year, it would only take a matter of weeks to, like, get this stuff done. And I was like, I have a really bad feeling about this. And I was like, I don't trust this guy. I literally kept thinking this guy was gonna like do some kind of betrayal. He didn't. He's just like a low-key dick, but also a mid-key dick, not low-key.
Yeah, he's not.
He's a
like,
dick.
Yeah, he's not.
But he's not like malicious.
Betrayal.
He just betrayal.
He's not betrayal level. He's just kind of an asshole.
Then Picard's like, well, why do you need me? And the professor goes, I'm not a young man anymore. I'm like, so you went to Picard? A man in his 50s? Yeah. I'm like, man, how old are you that you decided, ooh,
I mean,
I need a youth. Who should I go to? Who's the first person I think of when I'm thinking of youth?
Yeah.
Picard is very spry.
Yeah.
He's like really, like, he's fit. He's up there, but like
Yeah, Picard
youth,
is
that's a joke.
Yeah, Picard is not young.
Come on.
Picard is not young, but he is significantly younger than the Professor. And
Yeah.
also, this is Star Trek timeline, and humans, like, regularly live to, like, 200, so...
Still, Picard, that's not
Yeah.
young, man. Like, come on,
No.
guy. So yeah, Picard's like, sorry girl, I got responsibilities, but the Professor interrupts and he's like, yeah, but for history, do this for history. And he's like, don't you wish you could have been at all these cool discoveries? And he basically is like guilting Picard, and he's like, hey, do you Picard says there's like some answer to some question, but and he's like, oh, you got that question wrong on my exam. And like, did you have any other students, man? Because like, you remember this one
Yeah.
question Picard got wrong? That is wild.
Yeah.
And Dr. C, okay, so then like, whatever. Okay, so then Dr. C comes to visit Picard, and she's literally like, spill the tea as she pours herself a mug. And Picard admits that this has like stirred up some feelings of regret for not being the captain, but like other stuff. So Picard says, I'm not sorry for the path I chose, but the Professor did not choose this gift at random. He's talking about the like mini statue. There are many voices inside the one. You see, he knows that in the past, that the past is very insistent. Is that the right word? We're going with that. Is very insistent voice inside of me, and this
Persistent
gift is
might have been
okay.
what he said. I think it works either way.
Yeah, and this gift is meant to remind me of that. And so, Picard, though he does like say like, yeah, I would not have picked like another path. He's just like bummed he's gonna have to say no to the Professor a second time.
Yeah. I actually really appreciated that, like, that Picard was like, no, I don't regret like the path I chose. You know, it's just it just sucks that like this is
We're
like
in deja vu all over again.
Yeah, that it just sucks that I'm gonna have to disappoint him, but I'm happy with the way my life has gone, which I appreciated, because I feel like most shows would have been, you know, they would have taken the direction that he at least had like a little bit of regret for not, you know, becoming an archaeologist or whatever.
Oh, for sure. So then Picard tells Dr. C, he's like, I had a father, but he was a father who understood me, and he had his own children, but they didn't follow in his footsteps, so I was like the son who understood him. This, to me, honestly, is like kind of an unhealthy dynamic relationship,
very much.
Especially on the Professor's side, because this guy had his own kids, but he was like, they didn't do what I wanted them to do, so fuck that noise. I'm gonna hang out with this guy.
And
like,
here's the thing.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, and the thing is that as soon as Picard didn't want to do what he wanted to do, he did the same thing to him.
Yeah, he dropped Picard. He hasn't spoken to him in 30 years and only goes to him when he needs him. And he's like, oh, yeah, Professor Galen sucks.
Yeah.
And
the
Dr.
thing is
C's
like that
sorry.
it kind of shows like the sort of patterns we can fall into with sort of like familial like trauma and bonding and stuff, in that like he felt like this was like, oh, well, like a father figure that actually accepts me, except he didn't. He only accepted him
conditional.
Because, it was still conditional.
Yeah. Oh, Picard. I mean, from what I remember, like Picard's at least his like brother and his dad from that episode seemed not great. His mom's. We did meet his mom in the first season. We did meet his mom for 1 second when they were like she was having tea in the hallway or something.
Yeah, we don't really know what.
But we don't know what she's like.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't seem to talk about her, so she was probably fine or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, you're probably getting to this, but what Dr. C says to Picard is fucking wild, in my opinion.
Yeah. He's like, tell all this stuff. Like, he was like, they were real close. And then Dr. C's like, and yet you turned your back on him. That seems a bit harsh, Dr. C. I love you, but like, what? He was asking him, like, what? No, that was not harsh. This is also an adult, like a grown-ass man, asking a 20-year-old to go like, hey, let's do my future. We're going to go do what I want you to do. And Picard is like, because like if it's 30 years and Picard's in his 50s, he was young. He was pretty young. He's
I
in
mean,
his 20s.
this was like college age, I believe. So,
but to like fully to like have someone else try to decide your whole future for you is
They don't really
fucking
establish if this was
wild.
in the academy or what. Because like, does this mean Picard like went to university and then went to the academy, or?
Well, here's the thing: is like, a lot of like military stuff and things will have like, will just have like fraternities and stuff at universities.
Yeah, I know that.
So he could have been like in Starfleet and then at a university like as a Starfleet cadet.
No, I'm
yeah.
kidding. Okay.
And so I want to, because this seems like a weird for Dr. C to say this. So what I'm thinking is that she didn't literally mean to say like, oh, so you abandoned him. I think what they were trying to do is she was trying to like give voice to what Picard was feeling. And it's like, and you feel like you turned your back on him rather than just her literally saying, oh, you turned your back on him.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
It just came out
The way
real,
that it,
real wrong.
The writing and delivery is like, yeah, you should feel fucking
Okay,
bad.
well, it's important to remember also that, like, at the time that this was made, this kind of, like, this kind of relationship would not have been seen as overtly negative. People would not be looking at it the way that we are looking at it now. We have, I would argue, a more enlightened view of, like, what a toxic relationship is now, whereas back then it would be like, holy shit, you get along with your teacher and he's offering you a great opportunity. Well, sounds like he's a good guy.
Yeah. I think like I think people would have recognized that it probably wasn't exactly fair the way he was treating Picard, but it wouldn't have been like, people wouldn't have like been like, oh, so he's just also a toxic father.
Yeah, I think I agree with that take.
Yeah.
Oh, so then Picard's like, but I also kind of wish he'd never come on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so the professor comes to see Picard, and he again does not call him captain, and it's like, it's honestly disrespectful. This bothered me a lot because Picard calls him by his title. He's like Professor, but I'm like, it's like he only sees Picard as a student. He doesn't see Picard as a grown ass man who's made his own decisions and lives his own life.
Picard did say at the beginning that like Mr. is fine.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I definitely
don't
agree
like
with
it.
you. Yeah, I definitely agree
Because like
with you.
at first,
it's like,
but then it's because though like the way at this point the way that he's treated Picard since he's been on the ship, at this point it just feels disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the beginning, like he said the wrong title and Picard's like, it's fine, whatever. But like for that slip up, but like it feels like going forward, you fucking learn and you show some respect
because
to this person.
I totally get that, like when you're used to referring to someone a certain way, it takes an adjustment period to like refer to them by like a new name or a new title or new pronouns or whatever.
But you learn, and if you make a mistake, you apologize, and then you try again.
And also the tone in which he says it is not in the tone of like, oh, this is just what I'm used to calling you. It's in the tone of like, I am asserting authority over you.
Yeah, he doesn't, I wrote that like, he just sees Picard as a student, someone who will like do stuff for him rather than like a person that like an equal person of authority. He just is like, well, I want Picard to do this, and I'm gonna guilt him if he doesn't. So the professor then shows Picard the travel route, but Picard is like, sorry, my guy, I'm not leaving the Enterprise and like coming back and forth. Like if I go, I'm gone. Like,
and I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah. And he's like, if the professor's like, oh God, he's so mean. He's like, oh, like what you're doing right now, it doesn't like super matter. It's just like a study mission. And he goes, you're like some Roman centurion out patrolling the provinces, maintaining a dull and bloated empire. And Picard goes, we both know that is not true. And then the professor goes, I know this. I know you as a scholar. You're nothing but a dilettante. Years ago, I gave nothing. Wait. You're nothing but a dilettante. Years ago, I gave you the opportunity to become the foremost archaeologist of your generation. Your achievements, hold on, could have outstripped even my own, but no, you decided to reject a life of profound discovery, and you walked out on me. And then Picard says, I never wanted to become, and then the professor interrupts goes, will you come with me? And Picard goes, I can't. And then Professor goes, then I'll be going. And then Picard goes, but Professor, you're not scheduled to catch the Vulcan ship for another 2 days. And the professor goes, there's really nothing for me here. Goodbye, Captain. Fucking rude. Okay, but also, I did look up. I did not know what dilettante was, so I did look it up. And a dilettante is a person who takes up an art activity or subject merely for amusement, especially in a superficial way. How dare you, sir?
Yeah.
How fucking dare you?
Also,
call Picard a dilettante.
What's wrong with being a dilettante? It's like,
yeah. Here's the thing. It's fine. People can have hobbies, but this, like, Picard has shown at the very least to us that this is something, it's not just like an interest or like a hobby. This is like, we've seen over and over again that how important it is to him. And just like, it could, like, if he said, like, you know, some other thing, like, it's not a big deal, but this particular subject for Picard, this seems like, this is just like an insult.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because
and
also,
honestly, like, the professor can go fuck himself.
Because he's like, oh, like, what you're studying isn't as important as what I'm studying.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, why Picard? He had no one else. There's not a single other, like, there's no way.
It's obvious that they had, like, a special
qualified
relationship.
Archaeologists that are, like, around right now that are, young men, are just, like, just able to do this with him. And he just is like, no, I'm going to pick someone who already has, like, a big ass career and has got stuff to do. It feels like it's like a power move. He thinks he's gonna pull this guy who's got this hugely, you know, renowned job, and he's like, because also feels like when he said like his like achievements could have outstripped his own, but I feel like this is the kind of guy who would stand behind him and be like, that's my student.
Yeah, that's
my student. And it would make sure to be mentioned in every fucking journal or whatever that it's his, like, he was the mentor or whatever. And it just, this guy really, I put in my note that this guy is truly, like, making his way to my worst guy list.
Yeah.
He's such a manipulative asshole. It's so...
And here's the thing,
sucks.
I understand on some level that, like, if you had kids and none of them had any interest in this, what you had interest in, I could see that being a disappointment.
Here's the thing. That's literally my family.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad. But my dad is very much a sports person, and me and my brother are like, sports who?
Yeah.
But I mean, I do like hockey, but
oh,
like
and here's the
hockey,
thing, even if you do have
that's
the same...
closest. But my dad wasn't like, I'm going to go find some other kids who like hockey.
Exactly. and like, because that's what I was getting at. It's like, I understand, like, being like, oh, like, I wish I could share this with my kids or whatever, but, like, your kids are their own people. They're not obligated to have the same interests as you, and you can't just fucking abandon them for, like, a different surrogate child. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, you can still have the same interest as your parent, but if you're the wrong gender, they won't let you do it with them.
That's fair.
Oof.
I'm not bitter. Listen, I'm not, in parentheses, I am very bitter about my dad not taking me to a game at Maple Leaf Gardens before it closed, because he insisted on taking my brother instead, who does not like sports.
Great. And I assume he was fucking bored. Great.
Yeah, probably. I don't,
okay,
like, I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember that detail. Like, my dad would have said, like, oh, no, you'll just be bored or whatever, like, despite my brother having no interest in hockey at all.
Great.
Yeah. So sometimes it doesn't even matter if you like the same things.
I mean, I will say, like, if I did find something other than, like, you know, just, I don't play hockey, but, like,
yeah,
my dad ended up really liking the show The OC. Like, nice. I would watch, and he would, like, come in partway through and just be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Or he would just, like, it would be on, like, reruns or something, and he'd just be watching it and, like, get so much joy.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And
Of all things, my
Yeah.
dad like enjoyed the OC low-key.
that's hilarious. That's awesome though. And listen, my dad did fucking relax his shit, eventually. It took a long time, but eventually he realized, oh, I can't force my son to like boy stuff, and I can't stop my daughter from liking boy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Quote
Boy
quote,
stuff.
boy stuff,
Cool.
Well, not like
No, I
Like-
get it. Don't worry. We all get it.
we gender
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that don't like
Need to be gendered.
Need to be gendered, yeah. You know
Yup.
what y'all know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the crew finishes their study mission, and Troy's like, Picard, come with me for a walk in the Arboretum. Just kidding, though, because the professor is sending a distress call. He's being boarded. And Data, super chill, goes, I have located the shuttle, sir. It is under attack. Just very chill. So Data takes them out of warp in time. I just said Data takes them out of warp.
Oh.
Data takes them out of warp in time. Just in time to see a Uridian destroyer tractor beaming the shuttle. I'm like, oh, I had like very different not expectations, but I kept like thinking other stuff was happening in this episode. It was not. So I was like, oh, this feels like a setup, because that like tractor, but because of the tractor beam, they can't like transport the professor to the ship. And then they're like, fire, Worf, but like, oh shit, the ship fucking explodes. And they do not know, like the Uridian ship, not the shuttle.
Yeah.
They don't really know how it happened. The like phaser blast was not powerful enough to destroy the ship. Wait.
That's right.
Okay, I was gonna say, we still don't know
was
that happened.
just, it happened.
Oh my god, I just realized. Oh wait, okay, okay, because I just thought of a theory. But that I'll leave that. I'll come back to that. Oh my god. I'm gonna make a note of this theory that just popped into my head. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, goes all the way to the top. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So okay, Picard's like, okay, we're gonna transport Professor directly to sickbay, so they bring him in, and the professor got direct hit, and his last words was, "I was too harsh." And I'm like,
Yeah,
seems like he's
he could have
guilt
said
tripping as
sorry,
he's
but
dying.
he did
so
not.
that seems like another like notch in the bad side for me. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I wrote that. Yeah, I was like, seems like a guilt trip, because that was not an apology. And so Geordi then is like, it looks like 3 Iridians boarded the shuttle and tried to download something from the shuttle computer.
Yeah.
And
For-
Data is like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, for someone that's like emotionally constipated, that is an apology to them. But yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
in my
it's not an
opinion, not good
apology.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Data was like, when he was attacked, the professor began to protect certain files in the computer memory. They were able to like reconstruct some of them in the computer, so they got some of the files. And it's just like a bunch of number blocks. They don't know how to decode it, but I'm sure the number is significant to Picard or something. It was not. But I was like,
yes, it
he's
was.
gonna. I was like, are we gonna Da Vinci code this? Are we fucking Da Vinci coding? Because this is literally how the Da Vinci Code started. Is like a mentor dies, leaving clues for the mentee. This is not the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
It went not Da Vinci Code very quick. Like I got
Yeah.
excited and then disappointed.
Unfortunately, they've already spent half the episode getting to this point, so we don't get
Yeah.
as much like decoding stuff as like I would have liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do mention. Sorry.
For the record, the episode is very much inspired by Contact.
Yeah, that
Oh,
makes sense.
I have never heard of this movie. Sorry, I have never seen this movie, but I have heard of this movie from one of my favorite drag queens talks about this movie a lot.
Okay.
I
The
fucking
movie-
hate
the movie
that
is
movie
okay.
so much.
Fair enough.
Like, just
It's based on a Carl Sagan book.
yeah.
What? My
Yeah.
enemy?
Yep.
It's just the ending is so like it's so frustrating.
We'll get to the ending of the episode,
Okay.
but yeah.
The lead up is so cool, and the ending ruins it for me.
Oh, okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay, they do mention this, and to me, I'm like, this should have been like a really cool spinoff. They're like, the Euridians are information dealers. I'm like, where's that spinoff? That would be fucking interesting. That's kind of cool. And so, they're like, maybe they're getting the number blocks for someone else. Like, someone hired the Euridians to, like, get the number blocks from the professor. And then Picard asks where the professor was before he arrived at the Enterprise. Data was like, oh, he visited an unexplored star system. Rua 4. 4 days before... Wait. 4 days at... Oh, it's 4 days from warp. 4 days with warp. At warp 6. Oh my god. I should have wrote something in the margins. This was squeezed at the end of a line. Okay, to get to Rua 4, it would take 4 days at warp 6. There we go. They're like, we're going. And there's like a class M planet. 67% of the surface is water. Let's go. But nothing shows that a previous civilization was there, and the professor's last stop before the attack, like in the shuttle, was Injury 8. And Picard's like, Riker, let's fucking go. But Riker is like, man, with all due respect, that sounds like a waste of fucking time, and we're gonna be late for that conference. But Picard's like, I don't really care. I'm aware of the Federation timetable, number 1. So Picard's like, there's a connection here, and I'm going to find it. And I'm like, yeah, didn't you Da Vinci code your way into this? And so then Troy visits Picard in his ready room, and Picard's like, if I was with him. But Troy was like, no, absolutely not. You are not responsible for his death. You could not have done anything. You made the right choice. You didn't abandon your lifelong career for that. And Troy's like, we also have to go, though. Oh, to the conference or something? I don't know. And then Picard goes, Counselor, this is not simply a case of me taking the Enterprise and its crew on some wild goose chase to purge myself of guilt and remorse. I will not let Galen's death be in vain. Now, if that means inconveniencing a few squabbling delegates for a few days, then so be it. I will take the full responsibility. I was like, yeah. So they get to Injury 8, and there's like a plasma reaction is consuming the lower atmosphere. All life on the planet is being destroyed. Oh no. And Picard guesses that the like numerical blocks might have something to do with organic matter. And Data suggests narrowing down the search to the biological database. And Picard's like, I'll be in the lab. So the number blocks are mathematical representations of fragments of DNA, basically.
Yeah.
And,
well, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's DNA fragments, each from a different life form from 19 different worlds.
Yeah, but
And
they use its full government name.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I wrote it down, but I don't feel like doing it. Listen.
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
Yeah. And so Dr. C notices all the fragments have a similar protein configurations. They might be chemically compatible. None of this matters. It's yeah.
I mean, it does matter, but it doesn't.
It does, but it doesn't. Yeah. So Dr. C's like, hey, computer, connect the DNA fragments according to the protein link compatibility. And they get what looks like to me a shitty subway system. And I was like, it's a map. Like, do we not all see this? This is a fucking map. It was like kind of a map. I was fucking right.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, how do they not immediately think this is a map? It's literally like, it looks like a map. I was like, what else could like... It's like, you guys. So Geordi says it's part of an algorithm coded at the molecular level. Someone would have written this program over 4 billion years ago. So 4 billion years ago, someone scattered this like genetic material into the primordial soup of at least 19 different planets across the galaxy, says Picard. And so Data says the genetic information must have been incorporated into the earliest life forms on those planets and then passed down through each generation. But Geordi doesn't know what this program is supposed to do. They conclude that there must be planets from outside the Federation, and Data confirms 17 out of the 19 are not Federation planets. Picard thinks they should check on each of the 17 people to see if they have the correct protein configuration, and Dr. C will start to collect DNA samples. They kind of lost me here. I was like...
Well, basically,
I
like...
was a little confused.
It's like... So... life theoretic. So if we found life on a different planet, it would it would be very fundamentally different than our own. Because
I know,
completely...
but like the way Doctor Who's like, oh, I'll get the like the way that they sort of say it, it makes it sound like they were getting new samples of stuff, and I'm like,
yes. Oh, okay.
From where they have the current samples? Are they gonna track down every, like? I don't understand what they're.
Okay, so I understand what you're asking. So what they say is like of the DNA samples that they have, right? Like. Mm-hmm. These are the ones that like match, that like have a common ancestor, right?
Yeah.
And so they went into their data bank of DNA samples from
they did it with computer.
Yeah,
I was literally like, are they going to go to all these planets and try to like be like, hey, whose DNA is this?
No. So the 17
try to take more.
So the 17 so they're like, okay, so within the Federation, we can't find the pieces we're missing. So they're like, okay, so the pieces must be from species that are from outside the Federation. So they go into the crew manifest and see how many of the crew members are from worlds that are outside the Federation. And they're like, okay, we have 17 people aboard whose origin is from outside the Federation.
I think it was 17.
Okay, none of that would have occurred to me.
Yeah.
None of that.
Yeah, so they're
okay.
So they're gonna take samples from those people and see if they fit.
Okay, because I thought they were like, okay, let's go find people on these planets, and I was like, that seems like a huge waste. Like, what?
Because
if they have the thing, why are you getting more?
Yeah, because they are.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Because they are also looking for different planets, because they're trying to find the missing pieces of the puzzle, which are these DNA samples from these different species. So they're like, okay, we're not really sure where to look, so we'll go through the information we already have and see if anything fits.
Mm-hmm. And then I did not. None of that occurred to me, but thank you. That actually helps.
Yeah.
For the record, it does frustrate me that the line different species from different planets, there should be no compatibility at all, and it's like, I'm sorry, this is a show in which we've seen Romulan human hybrids and Klingon human hybrids, and like I know that this episode establishes why that can happen, but at the same time, like that kind of line doesn't make sense when you have half and halves within the Federation.
Yeah, it's like because it's already been established that like certain species are able to reproduce with each other.
Yep.
So so it's like that line doesn't really make sense with what's already been established, but because I think like one of the like one of the, I wouldn't call it a criticism, but it's like one thing to point out about like sci-fi and stuff is that like it's very unlikely that life on other planets would develop into the same humanoid form as us, like in a sort of like, 2 arms, 2 legs, standing upright with 2 eyes, 2 ears, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's
very unlikely that we'd all evolve the same way. And this episode kind of like provides an explanation for that.
Yes.
Within the universe of Star Trek.
Okay, so Geordi thinks that someone else must know about this program. He thinks the missing fragments, there was a missing fragment on Indri 8, and that's why it was destroyed. So Picard says it's 4 billion years old, a computer program from a highly advanced civilization. And it's hidden in the very fabric of life itself. And then it zooms slowly into his face. Whatever information this program contains could be the most profound discovery of our time, or the most dangerous. And the professor knew that. The professor is an idiot. I wrote Dr. C's tests come up negative. I don't know what that means.
I think that probably means that like of the like those 17 people, they didn't get any matches.
Oh, okay. So then Picard remembers that when he was asked he asked the professor like why he was like on his way went all the way to curl whatever. And
Yeah,
he's like,
the
"Oh, I was
place
in
where
the
he got the
neighborhood."
statue, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "I was in the neighborhood." And Dr. C thinks that he was collecting DNA samples. And there's only one planet in the Kurlan system capable of supporting life, Lauren 3. And there's no Lauren 3 sample downloaded from the shuttle. Maybe the Uridians took it? And Picard's like, "Let's go to Lauren 3, max warp." They arrive. Picard thinks there's a chance that someone else has beaten them, and there, gasp, it's the Cardassians. They're being hailed by Gul Osset. Yeah. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" But Picard's like, "I don't know you," an answer. And she's like, "Well, maybe I'm bad at math, but like, looks to me like we've got 2 ships and you got 1. And Picard's like, "Lol, we're here for science."
Yeah.
And then the Klingon ship arrives, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And Picard's like, "Okay, everyone, like the captains, you guys come to the Enterprise."
Yeah, let's all chill and...
Yeah, so they all hang out in the ready room, and no one wants to do anything. Picard's like, "Listen, how about we fucking admit what we're all doing here?" And they're like, "No, we're gonna fucking lie about it." The Klingons are like, "We're here for scientific research." That was so funny.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, Jan, oh, sure."
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. Also, the costume for the Cardassian looked wild on this actress. It looked so like unproportionately wide up top. Like, it looked disorienting, honestly. Like, it looked very strange. And then Picard's like, "Bros, let's just fucking lay it all out here, because we're all here for the DNA program." And the Cardassian, the captain, she admits that they have a sample from Lauren 3, and they will also fire on anyone who tries to go down to the planet. And the Klingon has the sample from Indri 8. And what did I write? I don't know what I wrote. That's
Great.
fine.
And he brags about, like, destroying all life on the planet so no one else can get a sample.
Okay, yes.
The Klingon guy.
Okay, I think it says destroyed the planet. That's what I wrote. Okay, yes. I had to, like, pick up the page closer. Yep. So the professor did, like, a real bad job of hiding shit. I don't know. Like, this was not as sneaky and, like, secretive as he thought it was.
Yeah.
And so, because, like, yeah, two other groups know about this, but we learned there was not only 2 groups that know about this. So the Klingon thinks it's an ancient weapon design of incredible power, but the Cardassian captain's like, the Uridian who sold them the info claimed the program would yield the key to an unlimited power source, which low-key is what my prediction was. So me and the Uridians kind of, like, were on the same page. I mean, it was wrong, but, like, still, that's kind of funny. So then Picard suggests combining all the samples, because, like, none of them can really do shit without each other's samples. So let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
So then the Cardassian goes, as far as we know, like, it might just be a recipe for biscuits. And then the Klingon goes, "Biscuits? If that is what you believe, then go back to Cardassia. I will send you my mother's recipe."
I'm also obsessed
funny.
with, like, what are Klingon biscuits like?
Yeah, I also...
They're rocks. They're literally just
this
rocks.
Klingon in this episode, I could not tell you what his name was, but I enjoyed the Klingon in this episode. This Klingon captain.
He's a lot of fun.
He was a good time.
He's a lot of fun, and it's too bad that he's just a Klingon stereotype, because he's such a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good time. Picard's like, "Okay, here's what we do. You're going to go bring your samples to the Enterprise. We will assemble it with the other samples, and we will watch together and see what happens. And if we don't do that, then, like, this whole thing fucking dies in this room, and we will never know." So they put it all together, and it turns out they are still missing a piece of the program, and Dr. C, she's going to figure it out. And in the meantime, the Klingon captain goes to see Data in 10 Forward, and he's like, "I hear you're pretty fucking strong. And are you familiar with the Bot Call challenge?" And Data's like, "Yeah." So immediately they do this challenge, and it's kind of like almost reverse arm wrestling, if you will. It's like one person has arms in between. I'm literally doing the pose that they do in the thing.
Yeah. So
you
what,
put your arms out in front of you, and then someone puts their other arms out, like sort of like bracketing the other arms, and the inside arms have to, like, pull it out. It's like pulled back, kind of like kind of like arm wrestling, but not really like arm wrestling.
Yeah. You set your elbows on the table and like hold your arms up, like both arms, in sort of an arm wrestling pose, and then the other person does the same, but they put their arms like sort of inside your arms. And the goal is the person on the inside is trying to push out, and the person on the outside is trying to push in. So it's like who's stronger, like, and
so it is a reverse arm wrestle, basically.
Yeah. So it's a form of arm wrestling, but like not quite the one we're used to.
Yeah. So Data, of course, wins, and the Klingon captain is not happy. So
like easily, like Data just goes like boof.
Yeah.
Like,
so the Klingon captain headbutts Data, which makes him fall back onto his own butt.
Because Data's skull
like,
is metal.
Yeah, Data's like, nice try, girl. I'm literally the $6 million man.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And the Klingon is like, oh, hey, Data, listen, if you give me the results first, I feel like you do, like, really great in the Klingon Empire. But Data's like, I feel like you're bribing me. And it's like, feel like. No.
Yeah, and the dude's like, no.
No, I would never. How could you even float that in front of me? Data, come on, we're bros. We just did a challenge together. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so we cut to engineering, and Geordi notices something on the computer that we can't see, and he's like, computer, run the level 3 diagnostic on the primary defense systems. Gasp, what's going on? And Geordi's like, Picard, I think you should see this. And then we're like in the room with like everyone, and they explain, okay, the computer was able to extrapolate the geometric pattern based on the distribution of the fragments. And it's this like kind of corkscrewy design.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like a spiral.
And Dr. C is like, oh, I was able to figure out that the missing DNA fragment is in the Ram-Zod system. And the Cardassian immediately is like, peace, and just like leaves, like just like transports out and starts firing on the Enterprise and the Klingon ship.
Yeah, she's just like, Shaw, bucket sand.
Yeah. Smoke bomb, run away.
That was good. That was good.
And then, so the Cardassian, like, captain, she did some shit to the defensive system, but good fucking catch, Geordi, that he noticed that. So the Cardassians are now heading to the Rom Izod system, but Picard's like, it's cool, because we're actually going to the Vilmoron system. We were baited and switched, you guys. And so, okay, they get over there. There's like no current life signs on the planet. JK. Data's like, oh, the second planet shows signs of an ancient ocean that's like dry now. And then we see a very interesting angle. This is not a bad angle per se, but an angle I don't think I've ever seen before. They go into the transporter room, but we get the view of the back of the transporter room. Normally we're facing the platform. We are on the platform in this shot. It's an interesting choice. I don't recall ever seeing that angle before.
I think we see that angle.
We
sometimes.
Do? I don't have any...
Like when you're looking at that, like the person running the transporter.
But like...
Yeah, but this was
from the back of
exclusively
the
like a
platform.
wide shot that included the transporter in it.
Yeah. It just was different. It's not bad or anything.
Yeah.
But,
I can't picture it, so I'd have to see it again.
Okay, so Data then finds a spot that seems like, oh, something might be living there. So they go down
I
to the
see what you
planet.
mean. Yeah, they're like
it's
like
behind. It's like at the
from
far
the
end.
very back. Like they're tucked
Yeah.
way in the back of the transporter room. Yeah.
Yeah, we're usually at the opposite side. So yeah, they get to the planet. They're like transport down to the ground. It's Worf, Dr. C, and Picard. Yeah, it's and the Klingon captain. Mm-hmm. And Dr. C just randomly is like, there. They just follow her. I'm like, where? Where the fuck are you going? I assume the tricorder told her something, because there's no way she would have seen anything from where they were.
Yeah.
Okay, so they climb up this like mountain. It's not a mountain. I don't know. They climb up this, we'll call it wall. They climb up the set.
Yeah. they climb up like the foam cliff thing. Yeah.
Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing that mountain?
Okay, so they're on the set, and then gasp, the Cardassians are there, and then gasp, real gasp though, the Romulans are there.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? So they start arguing, and while they are, the Romulans were like, yeah, we've been here the whole time, just like hanging out in like invisibility.
Yeah.
And
You didn't
so-
see us, but we've been here the whole time.
Yeah. And so here's I'll come back to this after. Okay. Yes. So the Romulans and the Cardassians are busy. They're arguing should they make an alliance? Doesn't matter. Meanwhile, Picard is like, hey, like they're all like within 5 feet of each other.
Yeah.
Picard just like whispers to Doctor, he's like, hey, maybe there's like partial, like the seabed would only be partially fossilized. Could it still contain organic material? And Dr. C's like, ooh, maybe.
Yeah,
And
because everyone else is distracted by like bickering with each other. So
and the tiniest little fucking piece. Okay, but here's the thing. Dr. C like Homer Simpson's backwards a little into the rock.
yeah,
And to get this sample, and it is tiny, which is why I'm assuming the tricorder told her where to go, because there's no way she would have been able to see this like from where they were.
yeah, because
very small.
I think what they said is like there's some sort of like lichen or whatever, which is kind of like an algae type deal. So all they need is like
A tiny bit.
yeah, if there's like a little bit of moss or whatever on the rock, like that's enough.
Yeah. So, Picard, he runs the sample through the tricorder. The program has been activated. It's reconfiguring the tricorder, and then a projection is triggered. So we see, this is kind of mean, but I don't mean it in like, it was the first thing that popped into my head. But I was like, this person looks like Deadpool in a dress.
Yeah, I understand.
just like the makeup is like Ryan Reynolds Deadpool in the first movie.
Yeah, because they're trying to make it look like
Fleshy.
like yeah, it's like a base. It's like a because they're trying to make it look like the base of like humans and Cardassians and Romulans and stuff. So they have a perfectly smooth head. They don't really have
I don't like the smoothness.
Yeah, they don't really have like a
unsettling.
defined nose, and the ears are sort of like part of the head.
They're very tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
They don't really
then we
stick
get
out.
then we get a monologue.
Yeah.
And listen, this monologue low-key gagged me. I was dying. And so the person that kind of explains that they're like, we're the OGs. We're the like original. We're the people. And we left fragments all over. So like future of like our history and us. So we're not forgotten, but we like put fragments all over the place. So future people could come together for this bullshit scavenger hunt to be like, hey, it's us.
Yeah, because they explain that
you
like
kidding me?
Yeah, they explain that like you know, their civilization like became advanced and they started like exploring space, but there was no other like intelligent life besides them.
So they needed to wait for the future to be like, guys, look how cool we are.
Yeah, well they wanted to yeah.
They wanted people to know they existed.
Yeah, exactly.
But the funny thing is,
create
like,
a legacy. They wanted to like seed evolution across the galaxy and stuff. It's like any other species like wanting to colonize planets and stuff, but they did it slightly different.
It's the funniest thing to me though is like they don't actually like this. The person who's monologuing. Oh, she's also okay. I should mention the white dress. I liked it. Great look. It was like a very fitted, like white dress, long sleeve white dress. They don't tell anything about the actual society. They're like, we just want you to know that we existed and we were fucking awesome. And we brought everyone together so they could know how awesome we were.
Yeah, rewatching this, I noticed that. It's like they don't say anything about their culture or anything more about
they don't
their
explain.
species.
They don't and like assuming that whole like transmission, like that's it. That is hilarious. Honestly, that is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. Because the amount of shit that went on, like, can you imagine the amount of people who died trying to figure this? I mean, fucking the professor fucking died trying to figure this shit out, and it's only to come to the end and be like, we want you to know we were here.
Yeah.
But we're not going to tell you anything about ourselves, just that we were super cool. We were like, the original people, and that's all.
I think, like, because it's supposed to be ironic in that they're like, you know, we did this in the hopes that, like, you know, you all would have to, like, come together as friends and work together and stuff to figure this out. When in reality, like, this was, that's very much not how this happened. Like, everyone's still, like, you know, not chill with each other at all.
Yeah, and, like, unless, like, there's immediate peace between, like, the Federation, the Romulans, Cardassians, the Klingons after this, then, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then the Klingon captain gave me my the best fucking line of this episode. He goes, if that's all, if she were not dead, I would kill her.
Yeah. Because no, it's like the hologram.
About the person in the hologram.
Yeah, because the hologram gives this, like, impassioned speech about, like, the, like, you know, their desire to, like, you know, influence life throughout the galaxy and like, you know, have this spirit of cooperation and stuff. And the speech ends and he's like, that's it?
Yeah.
It's
I just love that.
funny.
If she were not dead, I would kill her.
Yeah.
That was pretty fucking funny. And then, so we cut to then Dr. C and Picard just, like, hanging out, breakfast time again. I'm like, can you guys just get married already? This feels very like married couple. I'm just like, come on, why are they, like, fucking doing this to me?
Yeah, it's very domestic.
And then, but Dr. C and Picard do not see it the way I saw it. And they're like, it's too bad the professor didn't get to see the fruits of his labor. And the message basically went in one ear and out the other for most of us. And I'm like, yeah, because it deserved to. It did not deserve to stay in the brain at all. And, but they were like, but we need people to know that this is still, it didn't make an impression, but they're like, we want people to think that this left an impression. So the Romulan captain reaches out to Picard and is like, hey, maybe we're not so different, you and me. And then Picard holds his tiny statue up to his face as we slowly zoom in and the episode ends.
Yeah. I mean,
surely.
It's clearly supposed to be, like, an analog for, like, life on Earth. It's like, you know, we all come from the same place, we're all the same and stuff, so we really shouldn't be, like, fighting with each other, and, like, all these differences are superficial and all this shit, but, like,
the way they went was very ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Like it's stuff that, like, yeah, most people I think would agree, but, like, the way they went about it, truly the most wild scavenger hunt for fucking nothing.
I know. It's like,
for like a sort of even like a contemporary, you know, idea that, yeah, you think that people don't have that this is some revolutionary idea that people in the future will, like, not, like, think about, hey, maybe we should all work together. They think that idea was going to die out like they did.
You know what actually bothers me
listen,
about it more? There is really good build-up in the episode.
yeah.
There is. And when this happened, I laughed so fucking hard. I laughed at her monologue. That's what I was laughing at. I was, like, crying because I could not believe this is what we led up to. This is truly one of the most anticlimactic. Here's the thing, though. I did love that this was it was so dumb and so anticlimactic, but I do love that after all of that, like, people died for this, just for someone to be like, hey,
You know what?
work together sometimes, you guys.
You know what?
Work together, and you could be like,
We're all
like,
buds.
what? No!
Oh, I forget what the song is, but there's a song that's like, it's like Tin Soldiers or something, and it's like the story of the song is like all these people, like, fighting for a treasure or whatever, and then, like, finally, like, you know, everyone's dead and there's, like, you know, one person left or whatever, and they find the treasure, and it's like they open the box or whatever and it says, like, peace on Earth. It's like that was the treasure they were fighting for. It was like, and that's the plot of this episode.
Yeah. It's truly, it's very funny.
I think
Yeah.
I do not think it was intentionally funny, but I found it
I think if
enormously
Picard had ended the episode with like a more profound view, because like within Star Trek, this should be fucking earth-shattering. Within archaeology, this should be earth-shattering. But even he's just kind of like, oh, all right. I mean, I wish that my friend had got to see this. Like, come on. Like, that's his concern, not how, like, massive of a discovery this should be. The episode just doesn't treat the discovery with any reverence. It's like the episode doesn't even take it seriously.
Yeah. And they don't ever mention this ever again.
Actually, okay,
classic.
So, yes and no.
Oh.
So,
in lower decks, let me guess.
This is the bigger plot twist.
So, for the record, one of the writers, specifically Ronald D. Moore, connected this with a species in TOS deliberately from an episode called, I think it was the Paradise Syndrome, in which there's a species called the Preservers who have kind of seeded all across the galaxy, and the implication is that these could be the same species if anyone ever decided to connect it. It canonically works, even if it's not explicitly said. However, Season 5 of Discovery is basically all about this species. And I have not watched Season 5 of Discovery yet, so I don't know what to tell you. I haven't watched Season 4 either. I've found Discovery extremely difficult to watch because it is incredibly melodramatic and way too epic all the fucking time, and it is just exhausting for me.
Yeah. I also, when it comes to, like, giving the series as a whole, like, credit, I kind of don't count Modern Trek, because Modern Trek, like, specifically has been like, okay, let's go back and see if we can do anything with these abandoned ideas.
I mean, you can argue that the Trek that we grew up with did very similar things with original series stories.
Oh, for sure. I'm just saying, like, I just want to establish, like, they abandoned this idea,
yes, they did.
And someone else picked it up.
That's true, yes.
And someone else picked it up and decided to try to do something with it. Just sort of my main point.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a very, like, sort of... I would say it's kind of a trope to have this whole, like, you know, mystery, like, mystery treasure or whatever, and everyone thinks it's like, oh, it's going to be a bunch of money, or oh, it's going to be a weapon, or oh, it's going to be a thing, only for it to turn out to be, like, a message of peace or something. Yep. Or something like that. So... Unlike
the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, this is a very Trek message, so I don't begrudge it that.
Yeah.
I still tend to watch it because I like the build-up to it.
Me too, yeah.
But yeah, the conclusion is not very satisfying.
No, it is not.
Yeah. I did like this episode, though. I had a good time watching it. It was...
It's mostly
it's not
a well-constructed
by any means, but I enjoyed it.
It is a well-constructed episode.
It.
I don't think they needed to spend as long with the Professor What's-His-Name part to, like, get to the actual, like, mystery-solving portion.
Honestly, I would have loved to see his reaction, because I wonder if he would have, like...
Been
he
like,
does not
oh,
seem like
that's
the type of... Yeah, he does not... Like, Picard is like, oh, okay. This guy seems a lot more reactive than Picard
That's true,
is.
yeah.
So I do not think this guy would have just been like, wow... I feel like he would have been mad. I feel like he would have gone angry or something. Like, I would have been curious to know how he would have reacted, because I don't think it would have been great.
Yeah, and I would have loved, like, Picard would never do this, but I just love Picard to go like, huh, so studying a stellar nursery doesn't seem as, like, useless now, does it?
Yeah.
Like, this is not any more useful. Yeah, it's so weird to me that, like, you get them to solve this puzzle, like for the purposes of preserving your legacy and for people to know you existed, and you don't give them any information about your society.
And the funny thing is, they did this already. This was the fucking episode when Picard was stuck in, that was the whole thing.
The Inner
I can't
Light.
remember the name. Yeah, that's literally their whole fucking thing too. Star Trek is obsessed with fucking legacy.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up, and I'm like, I don't approve of the methods that the aliens in that episode used in the Inner Light. But at least
they were more efficient.
At least they actually told you about their fucking society. At least they actually like gave them information.
Yeah, and Picard walked away with a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they were like, we just want you to know that we were cool, we were awesome, and we were here. I'm like,
yeah,
great, good for you, I guess. Like, sure. Yeah, I was dying. But okay, here's one of my points that I wanted to bring up. When Worf fires on the ship, and because of the reveal that the Romulans were there the whole time, I was like, what if the Romulans are the ones that like they fired? Because like they can tell when they're all firing, right? Because they literally say, oh, they're gonna fire. So I'm wondering if the Romulans fucking shot the Iridians because they wanted to get on board with this too. They obviously knew that this meetup was happening because why else would they be hanging out? And Worf was like surprised, like their phaser should not have done that. And I'm thinking maybe the fucking Romulans shot the ship at the same time. And that's why it blew up.
It could be. The one issue with that, though, is that
they have to uncloak to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, man. Hey, listen, I get extra credit for this theory because I did realize I remembered an additional thing of why my theory doesn't work. And it's another Star Trek fact, you guys. Wow.
But
I'm
here's
giving
the
myself
thing.
a pat on the back.
This is also Star Trek. They could have ignored that.
True.
But I feel like if that was their intention, they would have spelled it out in the episode. They're not ones for, like, making the audience figure shit out on their own.
That's true. That's true. But, yeah, for a moment, I was like, what if? But, yeah, well. Yeah. Okay, here's my other thought. It brings me back to, again, I don't remember the names of like basically any episodes, but the episode where Picard, where we get the sliding door situation.
Oh, Tapestry with Q,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if the whole thing, and I feel like they mentioned this in this, is like his. Or maybe did I read it somewhere else? I don't remember. No, you know what? I did read this part somewhere else. But that's not relevant. Okay, anyways. If Picard didn't do his impulsive thing in the fight and getting stabbed, wouldn't he just become an archaeologist? Why would he have continued on to be... Like, if he had completely... Like, if this was such a big, like, change, then, in my opinion, he would have gone to archaeology.
This episode is entirely consistent.
Why would he have kept... No, of course not. That's the thing. Is like, to me, like, if this was like part of the change of his like thing, then of like making that decision of then would lead him to becoming a captain, then like,
well, I think
why would he have not gone in the if the whole like
here's the thing. I personally think it still makes sense because he says in this episode that like. He didn't have a desire to become an archaeologist. Like, he has that as an interest, but he didn't have any desire to become an archaeologist. Like, his desire was to explore space.
But that's, like, his currentness, though. I'm just thinking of, like, would it have been different if he, you know, like, went the route of the other route? Because, like... The fact that they had him, like, their version of where he ended up if he didn't get into that fight, to me is bullshit.
Well, here's the thing, is that...
And so I'm like...
In that episode, the whole situation, the reason they're at that starbase is because they're hanging out until their first assignment. So he's already in Starfleet doing his thing and made his decision to be in Starfleet and explore space.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So then, like, what the fuck? So this class was like...
It's not like, entirely clear,
no,
to be honest,
it really isn't. Like,
maybe it was an elective at the academy.
It could have been.
He doesn't speak positively about... what do you call it, about Starfleet, about the Academy. So, like, was he an Academy professor? Is he not? Like, was this some sort of extra thing that he was, like, connected with? Like, I don't think they thought that far. Like, the connection...
Yeah, they're probably not thinking about, like,
yeah,
timelines.
like, okay.
Because, like, how old would Picard have been when he graduated
Dory,
from the Academy?
This is something I probably should have brought up earlier. This script they had been rewriting it for a year and a half.
They should have kept going.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. It's like I said, they have a really good build-up. They loved their story idea, and they really wanted to do something with it, and they could not find a way to turn it into a workable script. And this is what they finally got. And, like, it isn't a bad script. It's just an unsatisfying conclusion. And the main problem that you run into with things like that is that things might get introduced in the script that get dropped later. And one nice example of this, something that was actually shot, was the explanation for the Uridian ship just coincidentally getting destroyed when it would have had the information that they needed. And in an offhand line, Data talks about he says something along the lines of, like, oh, they were dedicating all of their power to this, and we've overloaded their systems with our phaser blast, and, like, that's all it needed. But that line was left on the cutting room floor. And, like, that is just one example of one of the many things that I guess they just kind of overlooked.
Yeah, they're not always one for details.
Yeah, classic TNG.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, well, listen, all my qualms and theories, holes have been poked in, and they have bled out and died. Not unlike that original society.
No, the fact that you're able to come up with theories, though, that do sort of make sense is impressive. The fact that, like, you remembered things.
Just period, that I remember things.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is an accomplishment for me.
Yeah. No, it's not like, because it's not necessarily wrong, because also, like, Trek is very inconsistent, so.
Oh, yes.
Like, you could very well be right. And, like, we're necessarily correct.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I think it's fair enough to move on to favorite moments and lines.
Yes. Obviously, the Klingon captain line at the very end. I won't read it again, but it's the, that at the end was incredible. Best line. I love all the Dr. C and Picard hangouts, breakfast together. Mm-hmm. I love it so much. I really liked the Klingon captain, who I do not know his name. I don't know if they mentioned it in the episode,
they do, yeah.
But I enjoyed him. He was fun. And, yeah, I guess, well, okay, I'll give a shout out to Geordi because he noticed the problem that the Cardassian infiltration of the defense system. But otherwise, that's kind of it. I mean, because I did like this episode though. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did like that the hologram's dress.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
That lady actually ends up playing a character in DS9.
Yeah, I was about to
but
bring
like
that up.
deep into DS9.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really big one too.
Yeah. It's a Star Trek tradition to reuse actors.
Yep, sure is.
Yeah, my favorite. So the stuff with the Klingon captain at the end is my second favorite, I would say. But I think my favorite is him with Data. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, that was
how
great.
He's trying to pull all this shit on Data, like trying to look big, and Data just like owns his ass, like with little to no effort. It's very funny to me.
Yeah, it's great.
For me, it's actually Picard being a huge nerd at the beginning.
Yeah, that's cute.
Like
Yeah,
Patrick Stewart does such a good job. He's like, you mean it's complete? And you see him like gasping silently at it, and I'm like, oh, this is so fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like me and you when we like discuss Star Trek, and you're like, oh, this is season 5. No, season 6.
Yeah.
And then like
Yep, it's definitely us.
he just gets to like nerd out on something. It's very cute to see.
This is 6th season.
Okay, so moving on to predictions. There's a lot that can be spoiled in this next episode.
We're not giving you much.
Yeah, we're not giving you much. I will tell you that it's a Riker episode.
Ooh.
Yeah, the episode is called Frame of Mind.
Uh-oh.
And,
I don't feel good about this.
And it's written by Brennan Braga.
yeah.
Uh-oh. I feel worse now.
Who we've established is sort of like his whole deal is mindfuckery.
Oh, no.
And the beginning, so we'll just tell you how the episode opens. Riker wakes up in an insane asylum.
God. No. Is my prediction, how did he end up there? We get a, hey guys, I bet you're wondering how we got here.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, so is that my prediction? Is I have to guess why is he in an insane asylum, or just guess like what's the episode?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say if you, like, do you think that's the direction of the episode? Like, do you think the episode is gonna be a, this is how I got here situation?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No, this is TNG. They're only funny by accident.
Oh, yeah,
no,
I didn't mean as, like, as a comedy, but, like, do you think that's, like... I mean, I guess there's no other way to go from that opening to be like, this is how I got here.
I feel like, okay, because there's no way Riker is, like, there for, not for reals, but, like, I feel like he's got a, maybe he got bit by something and he's, like, hallucinating stuff. And his behavior while hallucinating, like, maybe, like, affects the real life. He starts behaving absolutely bonkers because of the stuff that he's seeing, but no one else can see it, which is why they're like, he's acting irrational and a little,
if you die in the Matrix, crazy, you die for real.
Is a little crazy town banana pants, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's why they put him in an asylum. Is this a 2-parter or just a 1-parter?
It's just a 1.
Okay.
I don't think there's any more 2-parters in this season.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you go crazy in the Matrix, you go crazy for real.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that he's maybe bitten by something, or like he ingests something that's making him like see things or get paranoid, like, or something.
Like a better version of Shades of Grey. The clip show episode that was literally a non-episode. Because that's the premise of that episode, that Riker got bit by something, and then he's, like, in a coma, reliving...
Oh, but then he gets his clip show. I feel like this is in real life. Like, he's hallucinating, but he's still awake for it, and he starts behaving...
Yeah.
That's
why it's a better version.
It's not crazy, but he's reacting to the... to what he's seeing in front of him. He doesn't know it's a hallucination.
Okay.
And so he's just reacting, but to everyone else, this is not happening, and he's just, yes, crazy town banana pants. And so, yeah, that's my theory.
Okay.
Is better Shades of Grey. Yeah, that's kind of a better way to put it. Yeah.
Nice.
I completely forgot about that episode.
I mean, rightfully so.
Like, you could say the clip show and be like, oh yeah, the clip show, but I did not remember that Riker was bit by something and was hallucinating in the episode.
Yeah.
I remember that there was a clip show episode. I could not remember the context of the clip show episode.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. Star Trek is, well, especially TNG, is one to, reuse plots.
All right. So, if you want to...
Or, alternatively, Kyle shows up, and then Riker's like, put me in an asylum.
Maybe Kyle puts him in the asylum.
Oh, God. Listen, I wouldn't put anything past Kyle. He is shit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, his name's Kyle.
Yeah.
No offense.
I won't even say no. Kyle. No, I won't even say no offense to any Kyles listening. Full offense to all the Kyles listening.
All right.
No, I'm kidding. Am I? Who knows? Only me. And time will tell. Anyway, sorry, continue.
I was just going to end the episode.
Okay, go for it.
All right.
Go for it.
All right, so if you want to see if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.